everybody. This is super exciting. I'm Liz Rave. I am the Vice President of Marketing at OUTFRONT. OUTFRONT is one of the largest out-of-home media companies in the US. And we use a variety of canvases, whether that's billboards, transit, social, or mobile, to create meaningful connections between brands and audiences as they live their lives. But what I love particularly about my job is I get a front row seat to all of our different clients' success stories. And it's particularly fun when you get such a unique and interesting brand as Professional Bull Riders. So I'm here with Nicole. Hi, Nicole.
Hi, everyone.
You want to introduce yourself to the group?
Nicole Capolino, the Director of Marketing for PBR Teams. Excited to be here with Liz and the OUTFRONT team. Looking forward to talking about our new professional sports league in year 2, coming up on championship this weekend.
Awesome. Yes. So I was joking with Nicole last night. We're just two gal pals talking about professional bull riding. But I think a great way to kick us off, get us all on the same page, is to pull up our visuals and kick off with a video.
Welcome to America's original extreme sport. You are about to witness a bunch of bull, but it's all true. After 30 years of individual competition, in 2022, PBR made its biggest news since 20 cowboys broke away from the rodeo to form a standalone sport. PBR launched a new team series league, 8 teams playing 5-on-5 bull riding games to bring new drama and excitement to an already thrilling sport. In Kansas City, we saw an opportunity to introduce the sport to a new audience through the Kansas City Outlaws. And the new professional bull riding team turned to OUTFRONT for a multifaceted campaign. The campaign was a perfect blend of art and science that led to big results. OUTFRONT's proprietary audience planning tool was used to match the PBR's core fan, tying the Kansas City Outlaws' key audiences to the most impactful media in Kansas City. Understanding the importance of creative and contextual relevance, we then strategically designed specific creative executions to impact each audience segment. Together, we optimized the media mix to take advantage of the synergies and amplification benefits that only out-of-home provides. This included OTT, mobile, and carefully selected influencers. The strategy paid off with massive results, including 8,000 plus of those exposed to the OOH attended the event. Millions of earned impressions across social and press. And most importantly, an increase of 72% in revenue year over year. We think that's something to get excited about.
Awesome. So Nicole, who was the voiceover for that video? I think this is kind of cool.
So Matt West, who is kind of the face and the voice of the league, one of the most known bull riders in the country, was honored to do the voiceover for us for the video.
And we were honored to have him do our case study video, probably our best voiceover yet. So it's hard not to dive straight into the campaign, but we want to get to know you a little bit more. So tell us about your previous marketing background and what drew you to PBR.
Yeah, I started my career with a local restaurant group in Kansas City. I worked on 14 different brands, everything from fast casual to James Beard, and really kind of dove in head deep there. Spent some time most recently with a 53-unit Wendy's franchisee and brought the first NIL, the name, image, likeness strategy to market with a Wendy's campaign. Slam dunking Baconators across the country, which was really fun. I was fortunate enough to work with the University of Kansas men's basketball program and win a national championship there. So a lot of creative opportunity from a marketing perspective through that NIL programming. Started with the PBR at the beginning of January, and if you ever asked me if I would be working with a bunch of cowboys, I would have never said yes, but here I am, and super excited to be a part of this team and growing the league.
Love that. Cowboys are in your resume. It's always a little bit more fun. So what's something we might not know about the PBR brand?
Yeah, well, it's bulls. It's not the beer, although love the beer every once in a while. The PBR traditionally has been an individual sport for the past 30 years. And last year, as we really looked to grow the brand, we changed the format and transitioned to this team series. So very much like an NFL in the league, we now have 8 professional sports teams around the country, expanding next year with 2 expansion teams and then 6 expansion teams after that. Very much to try and grow not only the brand, but actually grow our audience. So when we place these teams very strategically throughout the country, it's a lot easier to associate with the sport if you have a Kansas City or an Austin Gamblers and can really rally around the local community and the local market. So it's been a fun project to work on with a lot of growth potential.
Awesome. And for those who read our session description, one of the key takeaways was to turn you all into big PBR fans. And you can't be a fan without the right getup. So we are giving away a free pair of Ariat cowboy boots. So you could scan and enter your information in order to win those boots. And I understand Ariat is a big partner of PBR.
They are one of our national sponsors. Yes, make sure you sign up, and then you can come see the tour guide of the business at Madison Square Garden the first week of January.
Perfect. Yes. So let's dig into the campaign. What was the main goal, and why did you turn to Out of Home?
Yeah, top of funnel. I think we have historically had this sport that people are familiar with and have a really great audience base in the core fan, but really needed to broaden those horizons. So we had a short window, a short turnaround time from about March to the event the first week of August. So capturing that audience database from Out of Home and then funneling through the additional layers of media to be able to execute.
Yeah, I think that's super interesting. I think that's probably what Out of Home is most well known for, accomplishing that top-level funnel metrics. But how did Out of Home play more broadly into the omni-channel strategy?
Yeah, I think we very strategically placed those boards in locations that were high volume. We went with two disruptor boards that were really impactful in the market that, it was impossible to miss, let's just say that. When you have a creative team like your own to be able to develop the assets that we did, makes the medium more impactful.
Yeah, definitely. I know you mentioned that you were trying to grow the audience a bit, and in a very quick period of time. In looking to expand that audience, what were the specific targets that you went after and why?
Yeah, so we learned a lot, from data internally with the business. In year 2, we've learned women are typically our ticket purchasers. They make the decisions in the household, so they're gonna let you know if you can buy your tickets or not. So we really focused on that core audience, and then we said, okay, where are we gonna find these large groups? We broke into the country music market with very streamlined campaigns, in addition to tapping into other live events. Specifically our sports teams that are supported in the market.
It's always my favorite marketing strategy, the conquesting approach, a little bit competitive, going after the other professional sports. And obviously there's a natural synergy between country music and bull riding. What you see up on the screen here is OUTFRONT's proprietary audience planning tool. We call it Smart Scout. And it's using the example of country music fans to find the boards that over-index against that particular audience characteristics. There's actually 8,000 different audience characteristics built into the system, because we understand while Out of Home is massive, big impact, we still want to be highly targeted in who our clients reach so that their messaging is getting in front of the right person at the right time. So I think that it's super cool to have those indexing boards. But at OUTFRONT, we're super, is obsessed with the mix of art and science of campaigns, because we know we need both of them. So we touched a bit on the science in terms of the audience. I think it's always a bit more fun, personally, to talk about the creative. So what was the strategy behind the creative?
It makes the creative easier when you have a great team and you're working with, right? So, I talked a little bit about disrupting the market. So we picked high impact locations that these extension boards that were 20 feet beyond your traditional billboard. The eyes glowed at night. So regardless of if you knew about professional bull riding or not, somehow that was going to resonate with you and you were going to be able to go out through on your day and day, have an impact. flying cows, riding bulls across the Kansas City skyline. It changed the skyline of downtown Kansas City, and that was really impactful.
And I want to call it your childhood dream, but that might be a little bit of a stretch. But tell us more about your marketer's dream, because I think that this is incredibly unique of, owning or putting one of the brands that you work on a particular billboard in Kansas City.
Yeah, I'm sure we have some baseball fans in the house, but the Kansas City Royals were a good baseball team once, although they finished last in the league this year.
We feel the pain in New York as well with the Mets.
Yes. And when the Royals won the World Series, your team did an excellent job of recreating this in-game experience called the Salvi Splash, the Gatorade dump, overhead coach, and it was ground level. People could walk up to this board, and it almost became like a postcard backdrop. What kids were doing, families were taking kids there to take pictures in front of this board, and it really created this energy in the community. That's 10 years ago maybe now. So I tried to bring that back to life a little bit, and we leveraged these boards through some of our influencers to drive traffic to them, to try and build that follow campaign and really have that impact beyond just driving down the highway and seeing an impactful set of creative. Really tried to make those elements come to life.
Yeah, I love using the boards as kind of an event in themselves. I think also what's very unique about out of home, especially in this time of continued media fragmentation where fewer and fewer people are listening to local radio or local TV, I think out of home is one of the few, or if the only one left, of a mass reach local medium. And if you go into these communities, it actually has a really direct reflection of the community itself and what's going on there. So having it integrated into the neighborhoods is something I think that's very unique in terms of, an in real life medium and how it becomes part of like a neighbor into the community.
Yeah, I mean, people start talking about it, I don't know what you can compare that to in the market, if you could, but driving to and from work every day, driving downtown, and for that special occasion, it's, whoa, look at that, let's go back and visit that. It becomes a destination space. Really, it's just an advertisement.
Did you have anybody in your personal life bring it up to you?
Maybe a few.
We had one client who said that his dentist saw him up on a board, which was pretty funny. So I want to go back to the individual creative that aligned with the audience and why you did that, why we did that together.
Yeah, I think having creative that resonates with each target audience makes the campaign a little bit more successful and allows you to dive deeper into those audience segments. We got super granular with the division of country music fans. Are they women? Are they PBR core fans? Are they families? And what does that look like? And we really tried to represent all of those core audience bases in our creative.
Yeah. I think that this also touches on the industry initiative to have proper representation in advertising, especially with women, so that people can actually see themselves in the ads and then see themselves at the actual event. I think takes it to the next level and probably drives some of the great results that we saw in the video.
Yeah, I think, our sport is a very high energy, kind of a once in a lifetime experience. These athletes are challenged with staying on a 2,500 pound animal for 8 seconds. And the faces and the emotions and the highs and the lows of being a spectator in our events really truly is a show in itself beyond just the athletic performance of the animals and the athletes. So we tried to portray that so that when you see this creative, you pick up on that energy and kind of immerse yourself in the arena experience.
Because you mentioned 8 seconds, will you fill in just this small group on some of the copy lines that might have been left on the floor?
Yeah, my personal favorite is the best 8 seconds of your life. But there's quite a few, all bull, no shit, obviously. Pardon my French, there's an asterisk in there. But how we represent and tie a sport that it has deep-rooted history in the Western lifestyle and really make that more approachable with the Western Renaissance that's going on right now. We talk a lot about, Yellowstone coming, to the big screen, and we look at Beyonce wearing a rhinestone cowgirl hat on the cover of her new album. The Western Renaissance is really coming back and putting a lot of energy into our communities, and so how do we tweak what we've done that in years past and make it more relevant and really resonate with our audiences right now.
Yeah, I love that, playing into the culture zeitgeist and, driving new audiences to the sport, which is what the campaign was all about. So we touched on it briefly already a bit, but let's dig into how out-of-home is directly integrated with your social, mobile, and OTT channel strategy. So first up were the influencers. I understand they were a big driver of the campaign's success. Can you tell us a bit about the curation process?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, worked with your team on selecting those influencers and picked folks that were well-known in the market, specifically athletes with other professional sports teams. So we use that audience base that we knew are fans of live events. We know they're sports fans. They like high energy and high action. We found these athletes, and then we immersed them in our story. We started with our docuseries called Amazon The Ride. I would highly encourage you all to check it out. It's an eight-piece segment that really tells the first year of the league. And we sent the influencers down the path of watch this docuseries, learn about our sport, learn about the athletes and their stories and what we're trying to experience here. Next step was the out-of-home, the Like Follow campaign. So go down to these boards, get your tickets to the actual event, and set yourself up to have a really great time come event weekend. We saw some really great movement, and I think we acquired some new true fans beyond just the influencer relationship.
That's great. Integrating influencers is definitely the most direct way that you can tie your IRL or your out-of-home experience directly to your social strategy. But we see overarching that out-of-home drives more digital activation than any other media. In fact, it drives 7 times more social activations than any other media format. And why is that? Well, it's massive. It's integrated in the community. When you have the right creative, people just can't help to take pictures in front of it. You see some of the influencers who are paid to do that, but it's beyond just the people in the community. In fact, 1 in 4 Americans have posted an out-of-home ad to their Instagram story, which sounds like a ton of people, because it is. But if you think about the way that Instagram stories are set up, it's only attached to your personal brand for about 24 hours. So if you can make your community laugh or share something that impacted you along your daily commute, why not? And at OUTFRONT, we actually have seen such a close tie that we came up with our own term, #SOOH, or social out of home, to coin this phenomenon. Because honestly, when a client like PBR buys a campaign, the impact goes so far beyond the board, and so many earned impressions beyond the CPM that you pay for the board. And I think that that's just another testament of being able to reach, different audience demographics, a younger demographic, bring in them young and ready to go into the sport for many years to come.
Yeah, I think that's key. I mean, it's beyond, you said it, it's beyond out of home. It's every layer that is working synergistically towards the greater goal, to be able to drive the results that we had.
Yeah. So perhaps one of the biggest influencers in KC is Creed Humphrey. So fill us in how he played into your OTT strategy, which obviously came, in suit with the out-of-home.
Yeah. So Creed Humphrey is a Kansas City Chief. He snaps the ball to Patrick Mahomes, who throws it to Taylor Swift's boyfriend, just so that we know. And he
who's who, all the important players.
Yeah, got to make sure. But yeah, so Creed, he's from Marietta, Oklahoma. He is, his name, image, and likeness really resonates with our local community. And this sport for him is very organic, and it was a natural fit. So we identified him as our chief brand ambassador, the chief of outlaw attitude for the Kansas City Outlaws. And he really led the brand campaign. Everything from out of home and introducing the sport, and then bridging the gap between the educational piece, right? So what PBR was for 30 years on the tour side and what it is now in its current day, which is this new teams format. And we used his voice to kind of highlight the transformation of the format of the sport.
And I think we have a video of the actual ad.
Outlaw days are officially here.
Great voice.
And this season, we have a new world champion joining the game. Introducing Creed Humphrey, the chief of outlaw attitude.
Chiefs Kingdom, Welcome to Outlaw Country.
Bulls, barbecue, beer, and more. Buy your tickets today at KansasCityOutlaws.com.
He's a badass. And my OUTFRONT friends know how much I love alliteration. We use it in our branding all the time, but definitely Bulls, barbecue, and beer is the most delicious alliteration I've heard in a while. That's awesome.
Well, Kansas City is known for a couple things. Barbecue is one of them. We're a championship town in the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Kansas City Outlaws are in second place in the league right now, going to take home the championship this weekend in Las Vegas. So hopefully we'll bring another one back. But also going to be known for the Bulls here soon.
Yes. Of course. Okay, so probably what we've all been waiting for, the results. We got a little taste of it in the video, but what were they and how were they tracked?
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway is the 72% increase in revenue year over year.
It's huge.
I have not seen a number like that in my professional career.
Thank you, Out of Home.
Yeah, but I think it speaks to that top of funnel, right? As we casted the net so wide with so many different layers to ensure that we had that growth and we needed to have that growth and we have to continue that growth trajectory. The Kansas City market itself, across all 8 teams market, was the highest performing market. However, we have seen growth in about the 30 to 40 percentile. I think the biggest takeaway, though, is that we know, 7,000 people that were exposed to this campaign also were butts in seats in the arena. Mm-hmm. So we know that the strategy worked. We know it was firing on all cylinders, and that's a huge takeaway.
Yeah, definitely. And, we talked about the upper level funnel that Out of Home's so well known for, but this is the very bottom of the funnel. This is money. This is sales.
Yeah.
And to see that 39% of the ticket sales were accounted for by Out of Home, that's huge. Was that more than you were expecting from the campaign?
I think so. I think anyone in this room would probably
surprised.
agree with that. In addition to that, we grew our key audiences. We set out a goal to increase our female audience base. We grew our audience by 7%. That's a big number when we're talking about 22,000 people in an arena over the course of 2.5 days.
Just imagine if Taylor Swift started dating a cowboy next.
Okay, stand it up. So yeah, I think we put a lot of mediums out into the market. They all work synergistically together, and we saw the results.
Yeah. This is great. The way we track this was through one of our mobile partners, but we have a full suite of attribution products at this point because we know every campaign needs to be measured to the fullest. From your perspective, what was the biggest contributor to the success of this campaign?
I think your team, transparently, the OUTFRONT team was phenomenal to work with. We were lock in step. Sometimes 3 calls a week to really evaluate and dive into what was working, how things were performing, tweaking and optimizing every step of the way over the course of 3 months. And that piece was such an important piece that if we were in an audience demo that wasn't working, just shut it off and shift the funds to somewhere that is thriving and generating impressions and really generating conversions. And to be able to optimize over time, I think that led to our success.
Yeah, and I think it's just a great comment on partnership. Like, we love all of our agency partners, all of our clients, but when you get to work with a client directly, especially an emerging brand, while PBR has been around for about 30 years, launching a new product and a new team a new division is quite difficult. I think, really understanding that brand and working hand in hand and becoming partners in it is really beneficial in terms of the success. So you're one of our greatest partners and one of the few that has fully tapped into what I like to call the OUTFRONT edge in terms of audience planning, creative, social amplification, and measurement. Are there any key learnings from the campaign that you'd want to share with this group?
Yeah, I think, you touched on partnership, and I want to take a step back and speak to that. I think the scope of this project, we're standing up in a professional sports league, right? In 8 markets across the country. You've got to find partners and engage with partners that are going to be an extension of your brand. Because our team is small and mighty at this point as we grow the infrastructure and grow the league. And your team, honestly, did just that. So investing in a partnership that is long-term and that can grow with you and that can influence that growth, I think is key. As far as the future is concerned, We are getting ready to kick off the tour side of the business, and the tour side of the business is unique. But next year, we'll add 2 expansion teams to the league, and we'll have 10 markets to work in. So I'm excited to bring that to life.
I'm excited to see what the expansion teams are. That's exciting. We can pull down the visuals. We'll pop up where you can enter in any of your questions. We'll get to any audience questions in about a minute or so. But seeing that we're at Ad Week New York, and the industry is abuzz with new technology, new thoughts, new ideas, do you foresee any of this being integrated in PBR's future marketing strategy?
I think it would be hard not to, based on the performance metrics. I think it would be a poor decision if we didn't. So I'm looking forward to making that come to life. But like I said, we'll have 10 markets to help grow this brand next year. There'll be a league investment in standing up the growth across those 10 markets. This was a small, I would say, test that led to great results, and we look forward to growing that in the years to come.
Great, and we already have several questions. Before we get to that, any last advice that you would leave this group with? I think it's okay to make an investment in a full suite of opportunity, learn as you go, tweak things as you need them, and hopefully see the results at the end. Great. All right, let's pop into these questions while we have our 4 minutes left. What's ahead for PBR teams and the future of the league?
Yeah, I mentioned the 2 expansion teams, which is exciting. We're headed to Las Vegas. I'm headed to Las Vegas first thing in the morning for a team series championship. We broadcast on CBS Sports, so tune in if you want to check it out. In the years to come, we have 6 additional expansion teams splitting into 2 divisions, and then each home market will actually take on 2 homestands, so more along the lines of 8 to 10 days in the local market, first quarter, third quarter, more along the lines of the traditional stick and ball sports and the way the leagues work.
Great. I was just in another session where a Peloton influencer was sharing what they asked for in terms of equity in the brand that they represent. Is that something PBR does with influencers?
We have from a league perspective, and we have from a team perspective. So there are influencers that we work with that have equity in the teams.
How did you know that 39% of the tickets were driven by out of home? I could take that one if you don't.
Go ahead, but yes.
Some quick math. We did math. So we knew that 22,000, PBR shared with us directly that 22,000 people attended the event, and of that, 8,500 came from both the out of home and the OTT, which were bought in partnership through OUTFRONT. So do some quick math, and that's where you get the 39%.
Yeah. I think physically, right, from a geotag perspective, right, we had that geofence around the arena. Mm-hmm. We knew that we picked up all those IPs, and that's how we did it.
Yeah. Let's see, what else? How does out-of-home amplify digital investments? So as I mentioned, out-of-home is the best primer for all things digital, including search, social, and mobile. I think even we chatted about emerging brands. Emerging brands are generally your digitally based brands, but even those people understand that you do need an IRL presence at this point to build your audience, to build awareness, and to also build trust. I think out-of-home's great at building trust for digital brands, and when you do it the right way, you nail the creative, you nail the location. People like to talk about it, and what's better than you talking about your brand? Of course, other people building a band of people to talk great about your business. All right, this one is another OUTFRONT one. What's the breakdown of the OUTFRONT inventory, digital versus static, and what do the next 10 years look like for OUTFRONT? Whoa.
That's I love that question.
Digital is about 2% of our portfolio. We have about 500,000 assets. 2% is digital. It over-indexes in terms of the ad spend. Obviously, digital is the future of the industry, although I do think if you nail a static billboard, it has just as much power to drive success for a brand. In terms of the next 10 years, I can't go that far, but I will talk about, if anyone was at the DPA last week, we had our Google client up on stage who was talking about spatial AR and how that integrates really nicely with out-of-home. Again, both location-based and having an experience where you have a shared experience of what you can see on your phone, but all experiencing it together in terms of both a Gorillaz campaign, which won a Cannes Gold, having a live concert in Times Square, and then Space Invaders, bringing back the game for an anniversary of the game, and having people play that in real life on transit and then in Times Square again. And with that, we have only 13 seconds, so I'm going to say thank you so much, Nicole, for joining us. This has been fun. Couple
Thanks,
gal
Liz.
pals talk about professional bull riding.
Who would've
What's
thought?
better? Thanks, everyone.